And this is the mistake that smart people make. Smart people can get away with doing things they're only okay at. That is the danger for smart people. Smart women especially. We think we can do it all. We cannot. So what we do is we ignore the stuff we're really good at because we can kind of do a little bit of everything. When you do a little bit of everything, you are spending so much energy trying to maintain that facade of doing it. And so what I would say is learn what you are good at and then learn to say no at what you're only okay at. It's not the bad stuff that's our problem. We know what we're bad at typically. It's the only okay stuff. And the same thing goes for relationships. The relationships that are the most toxic are not the toxic relationships. They're actually the ambivalent relationships.
Oh.
And so this is, I think, the problem is with social energy and work energy. It's ambivalence that drains us the most. It's like an app running in the background. It's draining you without even realizing it. Ambivalent tasks and ambivalent relationships are the same. So the hardest category is not just, yes, those work tasks drain me. It's the tasks where you're like, I kind of like it. When someone says kind of, I go, ooh, that was a flag for you. I don't want you to kind of like it. I don't want you to kind of like someone. It was okay hanging out with them. No, there's that famous adage now, you should be a heck yeah, not a yeah. Let's break that down into some actual tasks and some actual systems. So ambivalence is a problem of our work energy and our social energy. And highly effective people are very good at not having anything ambivalent.
And what does ambivalent mean?
Okay.
It's a big word.
Yes, ambivalent means you're not sure if you love it or hate it. You could take it or leave it. You feel neutral often when you do it. That is actually more dangerous. I'll give you an example that happens the most with people. Ambivalent relationships are actually the hardest. You might have that friend where you see them on your calendar, and you're like, oh yeah, should I cancel? I'm so tired. Or I'm not really looking forward to it, but we've been friends forever. And it's been on the calendar for a long time. And you hang out with them and you wonder, is this fun? Or as my good friend says, is this fun or am I just fun? Right? Like sometimes really fun people can mask they're having fun. Actually, they're just fun, but they're not actually having any fun. So you're wondering, am I having fun or are they supporting me? Wait, was that passive aggressive? Why do I feel so tired? When you leave this friend and you think, oh, I should have just stayed home and watched Netflix. When you leave and you can't remember anything you talked about. When you leave and you question, do they really like me? Did I learn anything? Did I get asked good questions? That is an ambivalent relationship.
And we pour a ton of energy into them.
A ton. They take more energy than the good relationships and the toxic relationships. And there's actually a study that was done on this. So this was done with police officers. And they wanted to know, they categorized the police officers in a precinct, all their relationships between good relationships, ambivalent relationships, and difficult relationships or toxic. They didn't use the word toxic, difficult relationships. Mm-hmm. They found that the police officers, I found this shocking, the police officers who had more ambivalent relationships had more workplace stress and spent more energy on their relationships. Why? If a police officer knew who they liked, they knew exactly who to go to lunch with. They knew exactly, oh, he's getting coffee, great, I'm going to go get coffee with him. They knew if they had a difficult person, avoid them. I'm not asking them to lunch. There was no brain power being spent on, should I go to lunch with them? Oh gosh, this is a long lunch. Oh, this coffee break is, there was none of that energy. And so when you think about the people in your life, and I would highly recommend, make a list of all the people in your life and put a star next to the people who you would drop things to hang out with. Like you would move some things around to hang out with them. That's a good relationship. Then put a minus sign next to people who you dread hanging out with. Right? Sometimes these are obligatory relationships, colleagues or family relationships you don't really love. That's fine. Know it. Own it. Don't pretend that you like hanging out with them. That's okay. It's okay that we have people that are not our people. And then put a question mark next to the people who you're not sure if you would forget if you didn't hang out with them. Right? You know those people that like weeks go by and you're like, man, I haven't even thought about that person. Those question marks, please stop seeing them. Just for a while. Do you miss them? Is your life different not seeing them? I think we have to be really careful with our social energy.
Well, and here's the other thing we don't think about. You're a question mark on somebody else's list.
That's right.
And you wouldn't want somebody to make time and hang out with you if they're sitting there across the table from you going, is this fun? Do I like this person? And so don't do that to somebody else.
Yes.
And the other thing that I'm getting from this, because this makes so much sense, is that if you were to take that energy and time and focus it on the people that you really like, that you don't see enough of, it would lift your life up and it would make those relationships so
Even deeper.
much better.
That's it. You got to say no to the bad to make room for the right.
If you had to bottom line just the top habits of highly influential people, what would they be?
One is they start their day not just thinking about the to-do list, but thinking about their work and social energy. Second is they use the Pygmalion effect in their day, which we talked about with expectations. So the Pygmalion effect is after a Greek myth that Pygmalion made a statue of a beautiful woman, and then he fell in love with the statue, and then he kissed her and she came to life. So this effect is studied in research that if you set up a good expectation, that expectation will come to life. So highly effective people are constantly using the power of labels to set up expectations. So they use labels for themselves, but they also use labels for others. So if they see someone who is an incredible speaker or presenter or organizer, they are constantly saying, you are such a magician with presentations. I don't know how you do that. Or you are so good at cooking dinner. Thank you so much for cooking dinner. That expectations also turns people to life, and then everyone's doing better. So being clear in the beginning of the day, Pygmalion effect, no ambivalence. So getting rid of all those ambivalent relationships and those ambivalent tasks. And the last one I would say is the power of liking. So this is another study that I just love. This study changed my life, changed the way I think about likability. So I talked earlier about how you can be both assertive and likable.
Yep.
And I truly believe that. And here's how we become likable. We've talked a lot about assertiveness, but how do we become likable to pair it? So this is a study that was done by Van Sloan, and he studied high school students. These are kind of the original likable kids, right? He was curious, why are some kids popular and other kids not? So if you were to ask someone, why are kids popular? I probably would have guessed athletes, or maybe they're the funniest, maybe they're the most attractive. So he looked at everything from athleticism to GPA to attractiveness to humor, as many variables as he could think of. And he found that there was, and this was across a variety of high schools and across a variety of grades. So it wasn't just one school. He found there was one single pattern amongst all the schools and all the grades. He found that the most liked kids, the most popular kids, had the longest list of people they liked.
Oh.
Yes. In other words, yes, we are in control of our likability. That if we find ways to like more people, we become more likable. And in the hallways, when he studied these really likable kids that everyone put on their like list, they weren't, having hours-long conversations in the cafeteria. They weren't, checking in on everyone all the time. They were just acknowledging every single person in the hallway, usually by name. Hey, Mel. Hey, Greg. Sarah, looking good, right? It was these micro moments of likability. And that really changed my perspective is one, it's not about other people, it's about you. You being likable is about spreading likability, and it starts with you. That if you can find, and I mean assertively, find ways to like people, you become more likable. And that means the onus is on you. That if you're ambivalent about those people, so those question marks on your list, stop hanging out for a little while. See if you miss them. If you do miss them, here's your next step. Find ways to aggressively and assertively like them. Find the things that you love about each other. Find the commonalities and make sure they know it. I think too often as adults, especially, we're too cool to show that we like people.
Right.
We play it cool. We hold back. We don't want to be the first liker. No. My mission in life is to be first liker. I invite people to sit with me at conferences. I'm the first person to ask questions in conversation. If I like someone, I literally tell them, I like you. I like you a lot. I am constantly telling the people I truly like, I really like you. I like spending time with you. You're so interesting. Because if I know that I can truly say that, I want to be assertive about it. And so that's the next step is I think highly effective people, the reason they're so charismatic is they relentlessly pursue people they actually like, and then they share it.
Oh.
Yeah. So
And
I like you, Mel.
I adore you.
Okay, I'll take it.
I like your brain. I like your takeaways. I like your energy. I like your enthusiasm.
Woo,
I like
woo.
what is clearly a commitment
Oh, yeah.
that you have to helping us
Yeah.
be more influential and also enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Like
That's it.
I got really choked up when you said that thing about the kid walking down the hallway. Like I here I am crying over this silly example.
It's so I felt emotional when you said you adored me. I was like, oh,
Well,
It
you know,
feels so
because I
good.
think so many of us walk around feeling like shit about ourselves.
yes.
And so if somebody just walks by and is like, hey, I love your sweater. You look great today. You're like, oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Or even, I really like working with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I tell you that enough. I love when you're in a meeting with me.
Oh,
Right? Like to be able to say that. And that's why it's so critical, that first exercise of knowing who you like and not being ambivalent, because I don't want you to fake that. Right? I only want you to be able to say that if you truly believe it. And so spreading likes, it feels so good. And I also think it prevents our burnout. I think that the way that we prevent burnout is, yes, we can be doing lots of things, but if we're working with people we like and we're doing tasks we like and we can all feel good about it, it gives energy. Like it makes you feel so good. And so I think that making that list of people you like, I want that list to get longer. Right? I want you to find ways to like more people, because that makes you so likable. Here's a classic mistake that I see all the time. Hey, everyone.
you're on Zoom and your
And
shoulders,
your shoulders
are
are up your ears. Morning. Your first impression is now little, small, defeated.